Hello and welcome to Behind the Fender Podcast by the Short Map Players Tour. My name's Mitchell Young. I'm one of the newly appointed SMPT directors, taking a look at the season so far as we reach the midpoint. If you have not heard of the Short Map Players Tour, we are a short map bowls company who organise and run short map bowls events across the UK and Europe to promote the game of short map bowls. All our events are open to anyone to play in, and for more information, head over to our website shortmapplayerstour.com. And before we get started, let's introduce you to the rest of the team. So, hi guys, how are we all doing? Good to see you all.
Very good, very good. Yes.
Evening, fellas. How are we?
Thanks. You want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Go on, Si, I'll let you go first.
Okay, my name's Simon Pridham, director of the Short Map Players Tour since its inauguration in 2012, and former England player currently living in Cyprus.
Craig Burgess, director of the Short Maps Players Tour, same time as Simon, one of the original founders of the Short Map Players Tour, and used to play for England as well as Simon, but living in England still.
And we've also got Stephen Gow, who's also part of the SMPT team. Hi guys. So, how does it feel we're getting back to a good normal season for us again?
I think it's great from a Short Mapped Players Tour perspective that we're back this season. We've been able to get a so far full season of events in. So yeah, no, it's been especially from my perspective, I think it's been really positive.
Yeah, I agree with that, mate. I mean, obviously, 2 years without much bowls, not just for us in the SMPT, but all over Europe. And of course, we've had a couple of pairs events that we've run over the last couple of years when we've been able to, but it is so good to be back playing a full world ranking event season. So, and a good first half we've had, I think, too.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's just so excited to just be back playing competitive bowls in one of our events.
I mean, you never know when we open entries, you just don't know what's going to happen if they're going to sell out quickly. And I think just the response that we had for the UK Open, which is always popular or has been previously, but you just don't know with the pandemic and some players not coming back to bowls, which is really sad. But again, there's always new people as well coming in, so we've got quite a few new faces. I think in a couple of those pairs events that we did, including a PDC world ranked darts player, which was interesting. So no, it's been a bit of a slog to get us to the point of this season, but we're just so grateful to everybody that's come back, all the new players that have come and played in our events, and it's kind of just picked up where we left off really.
And let's take a look. So our season started in August. We had the World Cup and the UK Open, and also gave it opportunity now both you guys to put your bowling shoes back on and have a go at a competitive bowling event again. Because it's been a long time since you played in these events and experienced it for yourself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I played the first season, but only the first half of the very first season. And Craig played in, what was it, just one event, Craig?
Just one event. I think we just, it was, I don't know what the circumstances. It was sort of the Swedish Masters back in 2013, 14 sort of time. And I remember me and Phil got drawn in the same group, which was quite amusing.
Right.
But yeah, yeah, it was really good to. I think COVID had really, I guess, cemented my idea of coming back and playing a bit. And life's too short really to not. And I think we're in a position now where the tour's been going for 10 years. We've got a really good kind of setup and format for our events. I think it was the right time. I mean, the whole idea of these events originally when we set them up was events that we would love to play in. But no, I think it's great to be back and great to be able to get on the mat and put up a half decent bowl every now and then.
Yeah, we don't get the opportunity to play that much competitive bowls now. Certainly here in Cyprus, we've got leagues and we even have a national championships, but you're not playing at the same level. So, yeah, I mean, I was never overly bothered about playing again in our events. It was always for me the running of it. But I think because of the hard work that we've all done, Phil included when he was on board, of course, you and Stephen with the behind the scenes work you do on the websites and tournament software, all that. It's sort of, and even the girls helping out with doing everything. So even with all the blogging we have to do and the filming, it still has allowed us to be able to play. So, that's testament really to how far we've come since we first started and how well we seem to be able to run the events. And yeah, I've got to say, it's good to be back playing. I've really missed playing at that kind of level. So
I think that the banter as well that we've kind of we,
yeah.
we have banter anyway, which is for sure. But
Mm.
the playing side adds another dimension. I think it's fair
Yeah,
to say it's all
and
taken
good
in
fun.
the right way and done in the
Yeah,
right way, and it is good to be back bowling again.
yeah,
Brilliant. So let's take a look at the World Cup then. That was first up. Another win for Ireland. It was my first ever World Cup, to play in. I absolutely loved it. It's been one thing I've been trying to do since I've been playing in the events since I started, and come close a couple of times, but not quite. Managed to do it. So that's the only good thing that come out of COVID was that I managed to sneak in to a World Cup spot. But no, yeah, no, it was really good to play in. Unfortunately, we lost in the final. England lost against Ireland, but it was really good high level bowling considering most people haven't played for a long time.
it was close. I mean, yeah, 5-1 was the result, but when it comes down to it, really, it was what, 2 shots in it, I think.
2 shots, yeah.
Yeah, so another close final. I mean, England still haven't won the World Cup yet, but they're always there and thereabouts. And you guys gave it a great effort, and it really could have gone either way, as it did the previous time we played with Sweden and Ireland in the final. So we've had some good finals in World Cups, and I think it's a great event. It's a good start to the season, and players I think really seem to enjoy playing in it.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely one of those events that I think again when we originally had the idea for that we looked at other sports, we looked at the darts for instance and how they do the World Cup, and I just think it just rewards those players that are playing consistently, playing multiple events, and gives them something to aim for. And Ireland once again just seems to have that knack of I mean, obviously you look at the names they had in the team, four very good players, very difficult to beat. I think the closest, I'd say, probably was England in the final actually in terms of the shot difference. Wales managed to pick up two mats against them in the group, but no, it was a good event, a good way to start the season, and probably a predictable result.
Just for those people listening who are not aware of how the World Cup works, it's the Short Mount Players Tour World Cup where you accrue ranking points across the singles events throughout the season, and then the top 4 from each country be invited to play in the World Cup the following season. So moving on to the UK Open, our first female winner, Pauline Beattie, really good performance all weekend.
Yeah.
There was a lot of high class bowling considering the time of the year for short mat bowlers. That is, it was great. I mean, you guys had good runs yourselves, didn't you, as well?
I mean, I came in as a very late replacement. So I wasn't going to play this season, but I'm glad I did. I had no expectations going into it, really. My aim was to get to last 32, at least in the Cup, and I managed to get to the last 16. Lost to Peter Roberts, who obviously had a great season so far. But yeah, happy with how I did. And,
It's interesting you say that, though, Simon. You say about you didn't have any I guess aspirations, or but you'd already set yourself, and I think this is key to a lot of people. You still set yourself a target,
yeah,
which I think is really key for anyone out there. Looking to play in our events or any event, set yourself targets.
from the Saturday afternoon into the Sunday morning, the amount of people who were saying how much they were aching because it's in effect been their first tournament for 2.5, 3 years. Yes, they might have had a bit of practice at club level, but nothing really on that scale where you're playing so many games in a day. So you could tell a few people were a bit rusty, but I think everyone was keen to try and put in as good a performance as they could.
Yeah, I mean, Pauline was tremendous. I mean, you look at that final as well. Dan was playing probably the best bowls I've seen him bowl.
Yeah,
Whatever actually. I think a tweak in his delivery potentially. I think, especially in the release. I think from what I could see from previous years, but he really seems to have nailed that now. And
yeah,
I was really impressed with Dan,
yeah,
and also really impressed Michael, who I lost to in the last 16.
yeah. Michael Dory from
He was
Kent.
played really well. He was the only player that I played that weekend who was kind of playing the game for me the right way, and just putting bowls about as well, and yeah, had a really good match with him, and obviously he went, I think he got bronze medal in the end, so
Yeah, I mean,
he had
he
a good run.
just lost out to Dan by 1 in the semi. So,
Yeah.
he, as you said, he did have a really good weekend. So, yeah, I'm sure he'll be chomping at the bit for
And
the
again,
rest
there's
of the
lots of
season.
players there that really showed, new players that come into it who really enjoyed it and did well. So no, it's really good. I mean, again, you never can tell with our events who's gonna do what. And I think we'll probably hear it in the interviews from Pauline herself. There's a little bit of luck needed as well on the day.
And a few of our season tournaments so far is that if you get a lead early in the final, really goes for the ones that win them. Because like
Yeah.
Pauline she didn't get significant, but a strong enough lead really sets you up. Same with Joe in the Irish Open,
Yeah.
and again with Peter as well. So that seems to be the trend so far, anyway, this season.
I think there was a shot that Dan played quite early on in the game that he was a bit unlucky with, and there was another one sort of a bit later on in the match where he just needed a bit more forceful, I think. And I think looking back on it, Dan watched the final back and messaged me about it to say that probably should have been a bit more positive on that particular shot. But it's easy to say in hindsight, and especially easy to say from behind the camera. Yeah, sorry, Si, you're gonna.
Yeah, I was just going to say, but that was the same with our previous final before COVID, Alex against Lawrence. I mean, Alex was bowling excellent stuff all weekend.
Yeah.
And just, Lawrence is a top class bowler, but he just couldn't. I mean, Alex got that lead straight away, and just there was no chance for Lawrence to pull it back. But as you say, getting that strong start really does set you up in any game, really.
Yeah, but it'll be interesting to see how that pans out for the rest of our tournaments, whether it goes that way for all of them in the finals. But moving on, then we move on to the Irish Open in September in Belfast. Great to get back to Ireland. I'm sure you'll agree, Craig and Simon. Yeah, it was a great tournament. I mean, that's the first Irish Open I played in. I played in Belfast before, but in the World Masters a few years before that. And I really noticed how much I had to up my game that weekend. And another singles victory for Joe Beattie that week.
Yeah, I mean Belfast, I'd say is definitely for the purist. No, it's a great venue, fantastic venue. I think we'll come on later on of talking about our favourite venues and places to play. But I mean, for anybody that loves short mat, the Belfast events are fantastic. And great to be back in for the Irish Open. And again, you look at that quality when you get down to the sort of the last, even sort of the last 16, last 32, last 16, all the players that get to that sort of stage, I think any one of them at that point can win it. I think the only surprise really that weekend was Alan Paul not winning, having made the final. I mean, he is a machine, and it is. I think not many people will disagree that I think if Adam played in all six of the world ranking events, I think he'd be. Well, if he wouldn't be number one, he'd be number two in the world. I think he is one of the best players that I think has graced the mat. Certainly that I've seen in the time that I've played, not just from SMPT perspective, but international bowls before that. He's definitely up there. So I think there was a point when I was filming the semi-finals. Actually, Joe looked like he was down and out. Actually, I think he was playing Ian Hobson, and I was concentrating more on the other mat actually. And I flipped back over and looked, and Joe was back level. And I was like, wow, he's just been able to change the game. And Joe's won multiple SMPT singles events, and somebody that can do that can obviously turn around a deficit like that against a class player that is Ian Hobson. So no, it was a really good weekend in Belfast. And again, Joe added another title to the collection that he's already acquired over the years.
Alan is a great player. He's just, again, obviously won the World Singles Qualifier in Ireland as well, isn't he? Over the last week or so. So showing his consistency for sure.
So as we just talked about the first two events, let's hear from the two champions, Pauline and Joe Beattie.
Hello both, how are you?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Hello.
So firstly we'll start with you, Pauline, our first female winner of an SMPT singles event and your first singles title as well. How did that feel?
Yeah, I was delighted on the day. as I say, I got a few reruns in other tournaments, but always seemed to be failing at the last hurdle. I think semi-finals was maybe the furthest I got, third place. So I actually was, just more surprised that I actually played consistently well the whole weekend, because that weekend in particular I had played very little short mud leading up to it. So I'd really no expectations of doing well. I was only there to make up the numbers in my head. So to do well and to actually win it I was chuffed to bits at the end of it all. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
I mean, going into that final, interestingly, I was behind both you and Dan you were
Mhm.
playing the final, and on the walk down to the rink, I saw how really focused you looked, and it showed really in the quick start you had going into that final. You put Dan under a lot of early pressure, you got an early lead, and then just sort of saw it through to take the win.
Yeah, as I say, I had a good game with Dan in the group stage, because I knew I had to beat Dan to actually qualify, because the group was quite tight to get out of. So and Dan obviously played very well in the group stage as well, at the top of the group. So, you sort of knew, right, that, going into the finals, they would still have to play well here. And, it was try to be as focused as I could be, I suppose, like, because to get that, to get to the first final, obviously wanted to try my best to do well. So it just worked out on the day.
I think what we've got to talk about is after you win, Joe's celebration. When you were.
Oh, I was just over the moon for Pauline, so I was. I've always wanted her to do well, and she's always done well in them, but she's never got over the line, got to win the final. So this, so we've always done well in the pairs and things like that there, but I was just glad to see she won a singles one on her own. So I just sort of gone over and grabbed her.
No, yeah, it was really good to see. So, Joe, a fantastic Irish Open victory. How did that feel, especially winning an SMPT title in your own backyard? I know you've won one before, but how was this one coming back off the back of COVID, etc.?
It was sort of good because it's been a few years, maybe 2017, 2018 since I've done well, and really when the COVID sort of is, so I hadn't really done much over the last 4 years, 5 years. So I was just glad to sort of get over the line again. So I hadn't really done that well in many events between the last title and now. So I was just glad to get the win. So it is, and on home soil it's always a bit more special. So it is, because I'd always find that sort of the players can be more difficult to beat at home, so they can, and so it's always nicer to win at home. So it is.
And you're playing Alan Poore in the final, another very good bowler, as we all know. And
Yeah.
again, another quick start for you in that final. Really put him under a lot of pressure early on and put you in a great position to see it through.
Yeah, it just all went right from so it is. Just got the line with the mat pretty quickly, so it is, and got into a nice sort of style routine, and sort of it was sort of settled in really quickly, so it is. So it was sort of, it's nice to get that done, so it gives you a bit of confidence as the game goes on. So it does that. Getting the mat, so it is, you can start sort of playing that wee yard on shots, but sometimes you don't get the mat. It makes it that more difficult. You're trying to fight the mat and trying to find a line. But it just everything clicked on that game, so it, and just hopefully just glad everyone went right from it.
And Joe, you're now Order of Merit #1. How do you stay there and stop Pauline leapfrogging you, who sits in third?
She's not going to the next event. It's always difficult, so it is. I'm just more focused on just trying to play bowls and play well. If something comes out at the end of it, great. But it's just sort of more go out and enjoy the bowls and try and do the best I can. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it doesn't, well, so be it.
What do you think it takes, Joe? You've won multiple SMPT singles events. What do you think it takes? And also, I know, Pauline, you've won multiple events with Joe and in other SMPT events. But what do you think it both takes to win more than one?
It's just everything has to go right for you. It's sort of a lot of luck is involved. That sort of you just have to, the group stages have to be right for you. You can get a tough group and you could end up sort of third, fourth, maybe sometimes fifth or sixth. So this, if you get a real hard group, but it's just a lot of it's luck that sort of everything just falls into place for you on the day. And like a few years ago, one of the events I've done well, and Alex beat me in the semi-final, and it's just sort of, I was happy I was playing well, but just in that game against Alex, just everything went right for him, and he played really well, and he just nailed every shot he wanted to play, and you just have to hope that doesn't happen against you whenever you're playing games, to try and go through and win it, and it showed that Alex won that event, we did, and it's sort of, but it's just everything has to just fall into place for you, And it's just sort of, I've got the attitude now, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If not meant to win, well, so be it. Just go out and play the bowls and enjoy it.
And what do you think's the most difficult thing to deal with over an SMPT event for the both of you?
The tiredness.
Yeah, tiredness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can fairly find yourself, like, and the last event, I think, sort of I played my first game at 9 on Sunday morning, so and I didn't play again at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that can be a long stint, and I was trying to not get bored or get into sort of to go home here so good because sort of you've been sitting so long. It's just the way the event happens. You could be in the third run and be at 3 o'clock, and you've only a couple hours to wait. You could be in the first run and be 2 o'clock or 12 o'clock. But it's just the trying to keep focused and trying to sort of trying to stop the tiredness of this. So I'm sure there's a lot of photographs about me sleeping. So I just try and nap when I can, just even when I'm not playing bowls.
Great interview with Pauline and Joe there. I suppose the interesting thing was Joe saying there's a lot of things have to go right for you to win tournaments, and you know he says a lot of it's luck. I think a touch of that's modesty because he's a very, very good bowler.
Yeah.
It's interesting his point with regards to you hope you don't run into a player who's just everything goes their way. And I think I remember that semi-final we referenced there with Alex, and we obviously mentioned Alex's win, the English Masters previously. That final, Joe was looked like he was in command of that first few ends there, and Alex just completely changed his game. Went very aggressive, and hit everything as Joe said. So you do hope that you don't end up playing against a player who just whatever they do, it comes off. But I guess that is an element of luck as well. But we all have games I think where we can't miss, but more often than not we have games where we can't hit anything. So it's just I think he's being very modest, I think, in terms of the luck piece, but there is an element of luck, I think, and if you are able to get off to a good start, and as we've already touched upon, in an event or in a match, then you've got to keep your head down and hope it goes your way.
And then moving on to the Norwegian Open, everyone was delighted to return back to Norway. Everyone really enjoys the event over there. And a first victory for Peter Roberts.
He's
Yeah,
really come
definitely.
on. He's really, looked to up his game, and I think,
Well,
he's
he sort
definitely,
of takes it. He takes it quite professionally, doesn't he? He's,
absolutely.
the events are hard work. They're tough on your mental state, and you have to be, you have to be fairly. I say you have to be fairly fit. Maybe not, but the days are long, and so it takes a lot. I mean, you saw how Tommy was at the end of the final there in Norway. He's not getting any younger, Tommy, and he'd admit that himself. And he even said to me at the end, he was just really feeling the strain in that final, and it can affect you, at that crucial time when you're playing the big game.
Tommy must be our oldest finalist. I mean, just thinking back to sort of other events, but he did so well to get to that final. When it was a match you played on, Simon, that was pretty rapid in comparison to some of the others. But again, that's all part of it, and I think that's what I love about the different. We've talked about the Irish Open where we're playing on wide greens on a mat venue, so they're slightly slower. And then you go back to the UK Open where we're playing on the wide green lights on top of the indoor surface. So again, they're slightly quicker than the wide greens. But then you go to Norway, it's a completely different surface.
Yeah.
They were sort of mainly Verdi tops. And the odd wide green top, but again had the Verdi backing. So they were playing very quick over there. There wasn't a slow mat at all over there. So
it suited Peter's game. He was just draw. He was the draw machine that weekend, and bowled the mats well, bowled them intelligently, played the right shots, and bronze at the UK Open, and then fully deserved his win in Norway. So he's doing very well. Second in the world rankings now, second in the order of merit. So doing very well this season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I mentioned a few times when I was sort of commentating on the matches, he is a robot, and he certainly was that day and that weekend. So no, congrats to Peter. He fully deserved his win that weekend. And again, I think as you mentioned, there wasn't. I don't think we had an Irish player in the semi-final, so it just does show you that sort of surface and those mats. The Swedish players. I think there's a chap who beat me who then went on and took Gary McNabb in the next round to the tie break, and potentially, and Gary probably saying he should have won.
Yeah.
But they're playing on those mats week in, week out. They're so used to those mats and those conditions. So definitely a great place to play. Tricky if you're not used to those sort of conditions, but no, really good.
And just a few mentions to the home nation Norwegian players that had really good runs. For Amundsen, Sue Amundsen, all got to the last 16, and Joachim Jensen. So they've done really, really well in their home event in Norway last 16. So that's great to see those players get through the rounds and get to the last stages. Let's hear from our Norwegian Open champion, Peter Roberts.
Peter, firstly, congratulations on your win in Norway. How do you feel now you've won your first SMPT title in singles?
Yeah, thanks, Mitchell. It's great. Ever since I started playing on the tour back in 2014, it's been a dream of mine to win one of the singles events. I've come close on a few occasions, and obviously just earlier this year I got the bronze in the UK Open, so I've been trending in the right direction. And yeah, it's great to finally get a win at such a good tournament. Been to Norway every year since it's been run, and like I say, I've been close on a few occasions, but it's great to have finally got a win, and hopefully it'll be the first of more to come.
And talking of the final, you played Tommy Dahlgren, very established Swedish player, has played a lot of our tour events.
Yeah.
It was a very up and down game. It was a very, you pulled away early, then he'd come back, and it was sort of the contrast of the two types of gameplay. You're very much a draw bowler, and done that very precise and played really, really well. And Tommy went a little more aggressive, so it was sort of a battle of the two types of play, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think from memory, I think I only played the one weighted shot, which was when I had an opportunity early doors on one end where the jack was sat with a bowl next to it, and I managed to play that one quite well. But yeah, generally Tommy was playing the weight extremely well. I was drawing well, but I did keep leaving a few opportunities for him with the weight, and he took full advantage of that, and it kept him right in the game right up until the very end. I know early on I got 6 up through some good draw bowling, but then I gave a couple of opportunities away, put myself under a bit of pressure, and some great weighted shots from Tommy to level the match up at 6-all, and even right to the very last end where I drew well, but he played a perfect weighted shot, knocked the jack into the ditch, and put the pressure on myself to have to draw up to the line to keep it close. He needed 3 on the last end, and he was looking like he could well have got it, but with my third bowl, I managed to get round the back, and fortunately, I put the pressure back on him, and he just didn't quite manage it on that occasion, which obviously secured the win.
Let's talk about the surface at Norway. It's a lot quicker than the other surfaces that we play on in the tour.
Yeah.
Do you think that sort of suits your game a little more? Do you think?
Yeah, I suppose it does. I mean, I don't mind playing on. Obviously, I do like the mat on mat venues, like the rink venues as well, where it's all nice and even. But in Norway, obviously the floor's quicker. You have to be very precise with your weight for the draw. Any little bit under or over with your pace, and it gets exaggerated on such a fast mat. Such fast mats, but yeah, every mat's a little different as well in Norway, with the floor being not perfectly flat. Every mat has its little differences in its lines, and you have to adapt to that. So obviously, early on in the game, if I can find the line quicker than my opposition, I can get that advantage and get up early in the match.
I mean, you must be delighted with this how this season's gone so far.
Yes, I am. I certainly didn't go into this season expecting to be on such good form, but I made a little change before Chelmsford, the World Cup and the UK Open. Normally, I always use my international bowls. I've used them for years on the rink venues, and this season I decided just to make a little change, and I went to Malignoids, which I've never done before. So I didn't really know quite how it was going to affect me. I was in two minds whether I should or not. I didn't know if it would end up hindering me switching my bowls, because I have very consistent generally in normal seasons, but not to this level, and that definitely seemed to give me that little bit of an advantage. It felt in those games I just played with the bowls really well, and yeah, I did lose a game on the Friday in the World Cup against Sandy. He played very well. I think we still got the win, didn't we, as a team? You were in the team as well, weren't you, yourself? And we managed to get ourselves through into the semi-final. We had a good win, didn't we, against Belgium, and then obviously faced Ireland in the final, didn't we? And yeah, it definitely seemed to help me using that little bit more bias, and it got me off to a great start. Getting that bronze in the UK Open straight after it, and then over to Ireland, where the mats are definitely quite heavy over there. It's tough to get a lot of turnout your bowls on those mats, and yeah, I played well on the Sunday after a bit of a struggle on the Saturday, which got me the plate win. And yeah, then I used different bowls in Norway, obviously with it being quicker surface. I used slightly straighter bowls, but yeah, no, it's been great. It's been great so far this season, and I'm just hoping I can continue it on.
What do you think helped with your progress over them years?
Playing, just being in so many events, playing against such tough opposition on a regular basis. I seem to remember on that very first event, I played Pauline actually in a group, and she beat me by a point. And I remember it was tough, and I think I had a 50% win for that tournament, and it was a bit of a shock. I sort of went into it thinking, oh, I know I'm good. I know I can compete. Just through the years of playing, and but never expected it to be as tough as it was. As the years have gone on, just playing more and more events, and now I enter every singles event now, at least every season, and it just brought my game on, and when I play in my local team, the Stockport team, the Northern League, I play singles in that as well, so I've got a lot of singles experience now, and time on shots, crucial shots, to think what is the best shot to play, what will work, what's going to stop my opposition from being able to win the end. It's not always just about piling bowls into the jack. It's about being positional, making sure you've got cover around the back, cover in front, and I'm taking that bit more time now than when I was younger. I used to just get down on the mat, roll the bowl down, and just not really take much thought into what I was doing. I knew I've always been decent on the draw, but just having that alone is not enough. And I feel like over time I've improved in all areas of my game just through sheer number of tournaments I'm playing.
So what is the one challenge that you have to overcome to win a singles event?
It's a bit of fatigue, really. You can feel it on after a Saturday, or certainly after the event's over. But during the event, you can feel it's that the stretching forward, bowling after bowl after bowl. Your legs can feel achy, you can get tired. But I think one thing that really helps is hydration, having a drink. I don't know if you've noticed, but I always have a bottle of water or a bottle of juice with me, and I always like to regularly sip to keep myself fresh. I like to, when you're playing all day, round after round after round, it's easy to get dehydrated, and that can, affect your concentration and possibly my shot choice. So I make sure I've always got water with me, and I tend to have a little snack between each round as well, to make sure you keep nibbling on a snack or a little chocolate bar or something as you go, or or a bit of banana or something.
So we're halfway through now. You're doing
Yeah.
really well. Now you're at this stage. What's your ambition now?
Yeah, I mean, the start of the season, my ambition was qualify for the World Cup team again, and win an event if I can. That's always been a target of mine, is to win a singles event. So that was the key, was trying to win an event and qualify for the World Cup team. So I've checked that off my list. I've got that one now. So the pressure's sort of feels like it's eased off me now. That internal pressure that I had on myself to try and win an event. Now I've done that. And I'm in a good position for qualifying for the World Cup. It all depends. We're only halfway through, so I need to keep making sure I make the main knockouts and try and get as far as I can in each tournament. But yeah, I suppose, there's an opportunity for the world number one spot, isn't there? I think I'm only a few points behind Mark, and if I have a good event in York, that's definitely a new target now that I didn't have at the start of the season.
great interview there from Peter Roberts. One thing I did want to pick up on, and Craig, I'm sure you can enlighten us this a bit more. He spoke about snacks and staying hydrated. Is there anything you guys particularly like to snack on or keep hydrated on over the
Well,
weekend?
I think Simon's the expert when it comes to snacks, but
Oh, how very rude!
but
Very rude.
one thing that I certainly have noticed, and again, I'll say it's been 10 years since I've played real competitive, serious stuff. So I'm 10 years older now. You do need, I think, to manage the weekend in terms of in between matches, etc. So I think I just tried to keep myself and my energy levels up. And the greatest tip I got was around keeping your sugar levels, etc. Up and your energy levels up. So for me, jelly babies has been the couple of jelly babies before you play, basically each match. Just keeps you sharp, keeps you sort of your focus. So
Iron brew ones, yeah.
and that was Thomas Cole. So thanks, Thomas. So yeah, the best combination ever. Iron brew. And jelly babies. So yes, no, they certainly helped me through this season so far, and I will continue to use them.
Yeah, it was an interesting point you made there. Really, sort of going back to what I said earlier about keeping your mental focus and having to keep your stamina up because the events are so long. I always remember Dick Allman from Sweden. Before every match, he's stretching his legs, and you just have those players who there are some that just have that extra focus for it. And as I said earlier about people aching after the UK Open, it's amazing how if you're not playing regularly or not doing that, looking after yourself, how that can affect your performance on the bowls mat.
Well, I think Mitchell will certainly, will back me up here. There's the amount of times that we've played in events together, and on the second day, I have a certain muscle that I pull, and that's after I had a good run in the national singles one year, and we had the national pairs the next day. I think that was the time actually when I ended up leading in the pair, and we stayed that way ever since. But it's you do need to watch out for that and say, Dick, yeah, you said maybe you do really high jumps. You probably could jump higher still than I could even do it when I was fit. But no, I think you do end up with players that have different. And I'm very much a people watcher, and I like to see what people do, sort of to keep themselves kind of focused, to keep themselves in. And it is funny seeing what some of the players do in between the matches and that type of thing. I'd be interested to get people's feedback and if there are any superstitions or little quirks that people have before matches. Are there things that people like to do or don't like to do before matches? Always interested to see that. I mean, again, you look back at some of the players over the years and little quirks that they may have had or little traits or certain players you couldn't even speak to before a match. So no, it is interesting, but yeah, let us know. Give us your comments. What do you use? Is there anything you use in between matches to make sure you keep your A game up?
So let's chat favourite events and why. So let's chat through our calendar. What are your guys? Mine personally, I love York. I mean, the previous few years he's got up a few days before and spend that just going round through York. It's a lovely place to visit. Norway's another one, but is really really nice. And another one's Belgium, but that'll always be a special place in my heart now, following the World Championships. But yeah, what about you guys? What are your favourite events and why?
It's been interesting playing in them this year, and from a player's perspective, obviously I've not done all of the events yet, so but I don't really have a favourite. I look forward to all of the weekends, really. That's a bit of a cop-out answer, I know, but I just think they all bring something different. And depending upon, I guess, your preference in terms of what match you like playing on, and every single venue's got something to bring, I think. Belgium is also very special. I'm sure Simon will be the same. That we were fortunate enough in 2008 to play in the World Championships there, and it's great to see, I guess, where we've been able to sort of grow from the Way Valley days when we had 12 mats for our first competition to where we are now. So there's a long-winded way of saying I haven't really got a favourite venue.
Yeah, I mean See, for me, it's the same as you say. It's slightly different for us because where they're running the tournaments, we've not bowled in them all. I mean, for me, playing wise, I think that the pinnacle really is probably the World Masters. We have the most amount of bowlers. They are the best bowlers in the world, and we get players coming from different countries to play. So for me, it's the best event and the one that you probably want to try and win. I mean, I've never played an SMPT event in Ireland. I mean, I'm not entered this year, but I'm on the reserve list for the World Masters. But I mean, I've played pairs, but not singles. But yeah, I mean, I'm the same, Craig. I mean, like you say, everyone has their different reasons for playing an SMPT event. And as Joe said, he likes to travel because they have a good weekend and they get to visit different towns in different countries, and that is a big part of our events. We basically set up to run bowls events. It wasn't necessarily about having a good weekend away or whatever, but everyone talks about it becoming a bit of a bowls family. So a lot of people do like to go to these different places just for that experience. But
we do like to take it to places where you have got that opportunity
absolutely
outside of the bowls to do more. We
Yeah.
like to go to nice places to be able to do that, and I think
Yeah.
we've got a really good balance of venues that we go to. So no, it is good.
I've really enjoyed Norway. I mean, the bowling's good. It's a fast amount on a hard floor is my preferred choice of map to play on. But again, from the organising side, where we've had the professional filming before, that was really interesting and great to be a part of. And outside of the bowls, the club there have been really welcoming the hard work that Gunnar and everyone puts in over there, and doing things like just sitting around that campfire, doing a bit of curling. It is a good weekend away, that, and I've enjoyed that over the last few years. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit different this year, and I think because we changed the weekend that it normally is run on to try and help with some flights, but it probably helped some and not helped others, and I think it was very difficult. And also, we have to rely on a fair bit of sponsorship for in Norway as well, from local businesses, which again I thank Gunnar, Ronald, and the team. They do a fantastic job to do all that, and obviously since COVID, it's a lot harder to get some sponsors on board. So we weren't able to do all the things that we've been able to do in previous years, but we're hopeful next year that we are going to be able to do something on a Saturday night for people. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled in terms of the dates as well. We're looking to get the dates confirmed for next season. So we'll have those out soon as well for people. I mean, at the moment, it's looking like it will be a full season again next season as well for us. What about you, Mitchell? What's all the events that you've played in terms of what's your favourite?
For me, I think it's certainly been the Irish ones. Certainly as a player, if you want to go to one place and really improve your game, that's the one event or the events that really made me up my game, and probably some of my best bowls of, for me personally, like when you come out of a tournament, you go, I played really well there. It doesn't matter whether I got knocked out. As long as you've personally played well and you can go, well, I couldn't really have done much more. So that shows, if you get beaten by the better player, then you can take them on the chin a lot easier, can't you?
Yeah.
When you go into games. So that's certainly, I mean, I was really pleased with how I played in the Irish Open. I didn't bump into Raymond Stubbs, and and you're not gonna, you're up against it. And the same with, I think the World Masters when I played in that a few years ago, I thought I played really well and got to the plate quarters, and that just shows you that how the level of play you have to really up your game to even get through get through some rounds even. You know, we win a group game even, depending on how your group is.
I
You
can
know,
remember that one year in the World Masters
I know what you're
we
going to
had
say.
quarter
Yeah.
final of the Shield competition was Desi Hamilton and Colin McHugh. I mean, you know, that's just feel sorry for those that were in the Shield that year. But yeah, it is definitely the one. I think if you're looking to play against the best players, and I always remember that first year playing for England, and we went over the British Isles team. We went over to Ireland, Northern Ireland, and we on the Friday, we would have been the Thursday night because they don't play on the Sunday of the British Isles, but the Thursday night we had a friendly against a local club near where we were staying. And bearing in mind we've got the whole England 16, you know, going there for that, and it was I think we lost all 4 mats against the club side, and I think that was my sort of, you know, at 16 years old, my eyes opened up to that point to wow, a club team's just beaten the full England team here. So yeah, I think the level that they play at in Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland obviously is just a different level. They can play competitive bowls most evenings, but it's probably one for another podcast, just about the state of where the game is at the moment. Probably not the reflection they have at the moment in Ireland, with the amount of tournaments that are not being run or being cancelled. But yeah, it's definitely one maybe for another podcast.
there's still limited amount of available spaces for the English Masters in February at Chelmsford. So if you'd like a spot, then please don't miss out and head over to our website to enter at shortmatplayerstour.com. And also, moving on to our next event coming up is the Bowls is Bowls World Fours Masters and Bowls is Bowls World Pairs Masters at Falcombe, Chelmsford.
I mean, I love a fours competition. It's probably, I would say it's my favourite discipline actually. I do like fours, and look at some of the teams that have entered there in previous. I mean, we've had 60. I think 60 is the most we've had enter, which was the one before COVID. We're up to about 45 this year, which is still a decent amount. If you look at the names and the teams that are entered into it, it's it is a great event, and probably, you know, up there with being the hardest fours competition to win in my eyes. Certainly, it's a great it's a long day, but it's a good day.
Yeah, some tasty groups. It's good to see players playing with other players from other countries, which has always really happened in these events. So, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have thought you'd be playing pairs or fours with players from Sweden or Norway. So it's really great to see that. And what I love about it is you get a good mix of, club players who just want to play events and world champions playing. So, yeah, looking forward to what should be a great weekend.
Right, well, that's a wrap on our first podcast on Behind the Fender by Short Mat Players Tour. Thank you to Craig and Simon for joining. It's been good to have a chat, give everyone a good update, and to those that have maybe never heard of the Short Mat Players Tour.
Yeah, cheers,
absolutely.
Mitch.
Yeah, thanks, Mitch. And again, any topics that people want us to look to go through, nothing too controversial, but if people wanted to suggest stuff to us, I think we'd like to try and make this a more regular aspect for the tour moving forward, and a conversation, and bring people on to these podcasts moving forward. So yeah, absolutely. It's as much, again, like the sort of the style of our events. It's, we want the players' feedback into all of this, and is this something that you've enjoyed, and what would you like to hear from us moving forward?
I mean, we could spend ages talking about your delivery, Craig. So
Well, that
Part
would be
one and part two.
a masterclass, I think is the is the term that you're looking for. But yes, it's how that's changed over the years.
But not improved.
And we'll see you again on the next episode of Behind the Fender Podcast by the Short Mat Players Tour. And don't forget to check out our website, shortmatplayerstour.com.
If you have enjoyed the podcast, then please do like, subscribe and share so we can spread the word about the tour and Short Mat Bowls. And if you want to follow us for all the latest information, then you can find us on Facebook, Twitter at Short Mat Players, Instagram Short Mat Players Tour, and now on TikTok at Short Mat Players Tour. If you're interested in getting a new shirt to play in our events or a hoodie or fleece, then head over to bolstrader.co.uk and type in SMPT into the product search to view our range of available clothing.